Hi, let us understand how to install CentOS operating system as a part of Oracle VM and make Minikube up and running. Since the Minikube going to run as a part of virtual machine, we will be using the Docker driver. So we will see how to install the Docker as well. First, we are going to install the virtual machine. Let me create a new virtual machine. Let me give a name to it. VM3, and where this particular VM should get stored. Here is the location we will be selecting, and I need to download and select the CentOS operating system ISO file. This can be downloaded from the CentOS website centos.org/download, where I can select CentOS Stream operating system version 7 and I can download x86-64 architecture. So this is going to provide the ISO file. I can select that specific ISO file and I am going to select skip unattended installation so that I can provide the custom values for the username, host name and all such details. Let me provide the memory as 4096 MB and 4 core processors. Hard disk, I'll give it as 20 GB. This is the summary of the VM that's going to get created. The VM will get created and that ISO file will be mounted. Now let me start the VM. So the VM would power up, and since the ISO file is mounted, it's going to provide the option either to install or test the media. Let me go ahead and do the installation. Since this is a VM running on top of Windows host machine, this may not have all the required drivers, so the clipboard or the mouse integration may not be seamless in the beginning. I'll show you how to do that virtual host additions so that mouse integration, clipboard integration all goes without any issue. I'll select the language. Proceed to the next screen. Installation destination, I'll leave it as default, and time and date, I'll leave it as default as it's selected. I'll get into the network and host. I'll provide a host name VM3. I'll provide a root password. I'll allow SSH to log in with the password. I'm done with all the required settings. Let me begin with the installation. This is going to take a couple of minutes. In the meantime, let me quickly explain how we are going to do the installation and what are all the activities we are going to do. Assume this is my host machine. My host machine is running in Windows. On top of it, we do have the Oracle VM, and we started a virtual machine. I'll be having a dedicated hard disk and memory, processor, with this we are going to have the CentOS operating system. Now once the operating system installation is done, I will be adding guest editions. This will enable this particular virtual machine to go and interact with the driver of the Windows operating system seamlessly, so that the clipboard and the video driver will be working perfectly without any issues. Once this guest edition is done, I will be updating all the required libraries, software, everything as a part of this operating system. So update and upgrade will be done. Then we are going to install the Docker. So as a part of our virtual machine, we will be installing Docker and Minikube. Because this Minikube will be using Docker as its driver to start the nodes. And we will be installing Kubectl to interact with this Minikube. So as of now, we are installing the CentOS operating system and the installation is going in the background. The installation process is complete. I will be rebooting the system. The installation is done, and this is how the system going to provide the option for setup. Let's start the basic setup. Privacy option. I proceed next. I will not connect with any online account. It is not required, so I will skip, and I will create the username. I'll provide the password. Proceed further, and all the setup is done now. I will show you the issue that I mentioned in the beginning. If I make the screen as full, still this particular screen will not get expanded, and if I open any window over here, and going out of this particular window as well as copying from the host and pasting it over here will be an issue. So I need to address that. For that I am going to install something called guest editions. Before doing the installation of guest editions, there are some updates to be done. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me make myself as a super user, sudo su, provide the password. Now I am the super user. Let me update the system, yum-y update. This will download all the latest libraries and the other software versions and update the system to the latest version. This is going to take few minutes. So in total, it needs to upgrade 633 packages. It will download all the required packages and do the upgrade. or the required packages are downloaded. Now that will get installed. Upgrade is done. Now we are going to install few more additional packages so that we can install the VirtualBox additions. m-y install ppm release. This will install additional required packages. Now I'll be installing the make GCC kernel headers and the developer libraries. Before that, I need to restart this particular VM so that the latest kernel additions, everything takes effect. Let me go ahead and restart. Restart is done. Let me log in. Now I'm going to install the make and kernel developer libraries. Make GCC kernel headers Perl DKMS bzip 2. All these libraries will facilitate us to install the Linux additions. We call that as guest additions. Now let us store the kernel version as a part of the variable kern underscore dar. Export. Underscore dar equals to user let's check the value of kernel kern underscore dar. Echo. Now I am going to insert the guest addition CD as a part of the VM menu devices. Insert guest additions CD. This has software to run automatically. I'm going to execute them, and this needs permission to execute as a super user. Let me provide the password. Let me check whether everything is up to date. Now you can find the difference where the entire screen is expanded, and I can use the clipboard as well. As a part of devices, share the clipboard. I'll make it bidirectional so that I can copy the clipboard either from the host to the guest and guest to the host as well. Let me copy some content from the let me start a new terminal. I'll be restarting the VM so that all the settings would take effect. Before that, let me change the terminal appearance by getting into the preference. And I'll be changing the text size to 20. Let me restart the VM. I'm copying some text from my laptop and is able to paste over here. So this is a quick test, and this is going to be very useful while copying any command from my notebook or any other notes. With this, we are able to set up the CentOS operating system to install any further software. Now, I'm going to install the Docker. As we discussed earlier, we are ready with the CentOS operating system. All the libraries, everything is installed. Guest edition is done. So we can use the copy paste, that is the clipboard, as well as the screen is available for the entire screen. The text is having a better look. Now I will be using the DNF instead of Yum. That's going to be the latest version of Yum in CentOS. Let me make myself as a super user. Let me make sure everything is up to date. DNF update -y. There's nothing to update. Everything is having the updated version. Now I'm going to install the LVM2 and device mapper persistent data. This is required for the Docker to run, and I will be adding this as a part of the notes or description of this video. Here you can appreciate where I'm able to install and copy the Here I am able to copy the entire command from my notebook and paste it over here, and I can avoid the typos. Now I am going to add the repository where the Docker is available. since I'm having the CentOS operating system, I will be pointing it to the CentOS folder. The repository is added, and I will be installing the latest version of Docker that is available. So I will provide the option --nobest. Docker is downloaded. Now I'm going to provide the command so that Docker gets started whenever I'm starting this specific VM, so that I don't need to start them manually. I'll use the command systemctl enable now Docker. So the Docker service will get started automatically. Let me check the status of the Docker. Yes, it is up and running now. Let me check the version of the Docker that is installed using the command docker --version. This is the version that is installed. Now I am good to use the Docker, and I will be using the user Kumar which I used it to log in. Now I'll be getting out of the root user, and I'll be installing the required software, that is the Minikube, Kubectl, using this specific user. The reason because Minikube doesn't run as a super user, and I should add permission for this specific user to execute the Docker or to use this or to use the Docker service. So I'll be providing the command user mod, where I'm going to add the current user, that is Kumar, as a part of the Docker group. In case if this specific group is not available, I will add the user to the Docker group that's going to get created with this command new group Docker. So if the group is not existing, it will create and then add the current user as a part of the Docker group. Now let me go ahead and download the Kubectl. Kubectl is nothing but a client to interact with the Minikube. So this will provide the location where the Kubectl is available for the Linux version. Using CURL, I'll be downloading the latest version. I do have Kubectl. Now I need to add execute command as a part of this. I'll add the execute command. Then I'll be moving it as a part of the local bin folder, so that whenever I execute this specific command from any location, it will get executed because local bin folder will be part of the path. Here I do have user local bin as a part of the path, so that I don't need to give the complete path and just provide the kubectl command. Sudo move kubectl /user/local/bin. Now let me check the version of the kubectl version, and I'm going to check the version of the client, and I want the output as JSON format. If I provide kubectl, it will provide all the help option and the options. I can use it along with kubectl. Now I can use this specific VM to connect with any Kubernetes cluster. In case if I wanted to use Minikube, I can go ahead and download, install the Minikube as well. Let me show that specific option as well. I'm going to download the Minikube from this specific location, wget, and then the latest location where Minikube is available. I'll be changing the version of Minikube. Change mode. I'll add execute permission for Minikube. Once this is done, I'm going to move this Minikube into the local binary folder and name them as Minikube. Move Minikube. This is having some additional name like Linux AMD64. I do not need that, so that I can execute just the command Minikube. User local bin Minikube. So the file will get renamed and get added as a part of the user local bin. Now let me check the version of Minikube. So this is the version available. Now I'm going to start the Minikube. I'll provide the driver as Docker. Since we are running the virtual machine and that is part of the virtual box, I cannot go ahead and start another node using virtualization. Minikube has multiple options to start the node, either using Docker or virtualization or KMS, multiple options available, and Docker is the best one. For this particular reason, we installed the Docker in the beginning. So this will pull the latest image of Kubernetes that is available and start the node. So what we have done, we created the virtual machine, installed the CentOS operating system, updated, done the upgrade as well, and added the guest editions. Once that is ready, we installed the Docker and we added the Kumar user as a part of the Docker group, and that was not existing. So the new Docker group will get created and the Kumar user will get added as a part of that specific group, so that the user Kumar will have enough permission to start the Docker services or use the Docker services. After that, we installed Minikube and Kubectl as well. Once the Minikube is installed, I can create nodes within it. Now I created a node, so the record images will get downloaded and all the record services for the Kubernetes to work will get started. Once that is done, using Kubectl, I can interact with Minikube. So one container with 2 CPUs and this much amount of memory got created. The record certificates, everything will get created. The add-ons will get added. Now the Minikube is up and running. We can check the status of Minikube. It's in running state, and we can check whether Kubectl is able to connect with this Minikube. Since we do not have any entity like pods or anything, I can list all the entities available as a part of all namespaces. So it's having all the pods as a part of kube system namespace, services as a part of kube system namespace. So this confirms the installation of Kubectl and Minikube is successful. We can use this for trying out any component or library or tools to use it with Kubernetes, and we can use it for learning the Kubernetes as well. Now let me start. Now let me stop Minikube. Minikube is successfully stopped, and it's always recommended to stop Minikube before terminating the virtual machine, so that next time when you are starting, there will not be any issue. Let me close all the terminal, shut down the VM. The VM is shut down. In a quick summary, we learned about installing Oracle virtual machine. In a quick summary, we learned about how to create a virtual machine using Oracle virtual machine. On top of it, how to install CentOS operating system and do the upgrade, update, and install the guest editions, and the purpose of guest edition, how it is going to benefit us. Then we installed Docker, Kubectl, Minikube. We tested out how to connect from Kubectl to Minikube. Also, we saw why we should add the Docker as a part of the. Also, we saw how to. Also, we saw why the user with which we are going to start the Minikube should be added as a part of the Docker group. That's one of the major issue every user used to face, where they will not be adding the user as a part of the Docker group, and the Minikube will not get started successfully. Even if you add the user as a part of the group, and if the group doesn't exist, then also Minikube will give the error. I'll be adding all the commands that I issued as a part of the description of this video. Please do make use of it, and subscribe to this channel to hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.